Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing today? So, I am Yvette McQueen, MD, emergency physician and travel doctor, a global physician on a mission to educate about health, travel wellness, and disease prevention. Day 15 of November, Diabetes Awareness Month. So, let's talk about foot care real quick. I had mentioned it before prior that a podiatrist, which is a foot care doctor, should be the type of doctor, one of the doctors that you should visit. That's because foot care is very important for diabetics. So one thing about foot care, you when you end up having some dry skin, you want to keep your feet moisturized, but not too wet. So moisturize so that it's smooth. You get a good friction either with your shoes or your socks. Don't put any oils or lotions in between the toes because you don't want it to collect there. Because if you get your feet wet and you have soggy socks on for a long period of time and your feet aren't dry, you actually can develop yeast infections. So yeast infections or fungal infections, athlete's foot can be seen a lot in diabetics. So you got to keep it that moisturized, but not too wet and not too dry because you want still good circulation of the foot. Make sure you have good foot care. You're wearing good shoes, especially if you are on your feet a lot. Okay, so your shoes shouldn't be too small, causing rubbing on calluses, and it shouldn't be too large either. So too large of a shoe can actually cause you problems too and foot sores. So make sure you have good cushion foot feet shoes to wear, particularly if you're on your feet or you're hiking, anything like that. Of course, not if you're doing activity like hiking, make sure you're not doing it in new shoes, new boots. No, they should be worn or at least broken in. Make sure you have good socks. Your feet needs air circulation through it, and you have breathable socks, or they actually have diabetic socks out there where this breathable, and they don't have the seams. You know how you get your socks and underneath you have that seam, where diabetic socks do not have the seams underneath, so you don't have the wear and tear on the sole of your foot. The biggest thing we worry about is ulcers and sores on your feet because with diabetes, there's something called neuropathy, where when I talked about destruction of your blood vessels, your tiny blood vessels, you also have destruction of your nerve endings to your feet. So neuropathy you get in your legs and your feet, that insatiable itching that won't go away, painful itching, pain and tingling and burning sensation, sometimes like a hot poker, I'm told, or just like fire going up the legs, and it can be painful, and that's neuropathy. And you end up eventually have nerve damage, and that's why we tell people where you may get a sore, or say if you get a pebble in your shoe and you don't feel it, and you get a wear and a sore, you get a sore on the sole of your foot, and you're not looking at your feet all the time, then it can fester and become a foot ulcer. That foot ulcer goes into the tissue and the bone, and you get osteomyelitis, and it affects the bone, and it can end up being amputation. So you don't want that to happen. So you shouldn't wear. I tell people no bare feet around the house. Get some good house slippers, cushion. Make sure they have some good memory foam. Keep your feet dry and moisturized and not too wet. So some good socks, good breathable diabetic socks, good foot care. Take a look at your feet. If you have calluses, don't try cutting it off yourself. You can get a good pumice stone, right after you get out of the shower, you get a good pumice stone to smooth out those bones and joints in your heels to take the extra skin off. Don't try to do it yourself, because if you do have neuropathy or damaged nerve endings, you might cut too deep and make a sore. So that's why a trip to a podiatrist help, a trip, especially if you have ingrown toenails, a trip to a podiatrist help with that. Okay. So that's diabetes and foot care. Take care of the feet. You walk on it all the time. I mean, this is good for everybody, but particularly more for diabetics, because you want to take care of those feet. So I'll be back tomorrow. So peace and love. Stay safe. Yvette McQueen, MD, on all social medias, and YvetteMcQueenMD.com. Check me out, my services for a consult. Peace and love.